I think for the fact that they've gotten so far in the tournament, and especially in the way that they played, as they went through the tournaments, we saw some real stars coming through, and the performance in the Canada game in particular, you kind of really started to feel, and I'm sure that the team started to believe that they could actually do something, and that's to their credit that they were able to kind of manage that expectation, and they probably did. When you look at the scenes there after again, probably felt they'd go further, but I don't think you can take away from the fact that Switzerland were the better side, especially in the second half, showed some real quality. And it's an interesting thing, it's similar in population, 8-9 million, and they're able to kind of bring out real quality. Switzerland have a wonderful World Cup qualification record, but I mean, those Irish players, they no need to feel the way they are. They've been absolutely fantastic. It's a knockout competition now, and this was probably just one step a little bit too far for them.
Will you wonder when you do look at them, they do look so inconsolable after that. Switzerland came out and really went for it in that second half. Do you think Ireland are going to have a few regrets about a few bits and pieces they did? Yeah, but just before we get to that, I would echo a lot of what Stuey said in terms of the achievement as well, Joanne. I think, to be fair, it's been a brilliant achievement. They've certainly showcased the talent that they have in the 3-4 games that we've seen. And we can't lose sight of the fact that it's still development football. Like, you were quick to point to the fact last week that they're only 16 in the penalty shootout, and obviously they're upset. You see them there, the scenes after, inconsolable. So they're young boys, and as much as you want to see them do well on the world stage, absolutely, we all want to see that. And it's been brilliant to see the talent that's there and what's going to potentially come through over the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's still development football. So the likes of a penalty shootout, the likes of a heartbreak, that'll all it's building resilience, character, that'll all stand them in good stead as they go forward as well. And that's what underage football is all about ultimately. So it's been an unbelievable experience for them, one they'll carry with them for the rest of their days, and hopefully, there's no guarantee as we know in football, but hopefully a lot of those lads will come through their route or their pathways at their clubs, and eventually we see them go on to bigger and better things, a lot of them. And as we mentioned, the last day before they beat Canada in that shootout, so many of these players, unlike their contemporaries in this World Cup, have already played so many senior minutes of football. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a wonderful diversity about the squad in the clubs that they're playing for, across Europe, and I think that's kind of shown through in the squad, and the balance has been right. We've had that a real nice balance between physicality, a little bit of the technical ability, different sort of, I suppose, personalities among the group, and everyone has kind of shone in their own little time, throughout the whole tournament, the last few weeks. And look, I mean, it's you mentioned beforehand that it's been a while since, in under-17, underage boys have gotten so far in the tournament. We think back to the Brian Kerr days. This is a long time ago, Joanne, and when you look at what Irish football was 4 or 5 weeks ago, all of a sudden there's hope there, and I think those, just even in particular, this particular game, those players will have learned a lot from playing against that Switzerland team. These are boys of the same age, and I can't underestimate how good it does a player to play against somebody maybe that has that little bit more of a technical ability over them, and they would strive to want to be as good as that. And did you feel that was the case, that the Swiss were just technically better on the whole? Yeah, I think maybe a little change at half-time from the Switzerland's point of view. They tended to be a little bit more direct, I felt maybe Switzerland didn't show their hand in the first half. And maybe Ireland didn't either. I think there's a couple of things Ireland could have done a little bit better, especially in the second half. But ultimately, Switzerland, technically that little bit more better, quicker, I would have thought, especially through the centre, and they start to show it in the second half. That's even, Joanne, to go back to your question about the regrets. I think they will have regrets because we've obviously seen all the games. They didn't play it to their full potential, let's be honest. As much as Switzerland were very, very good and deserve a lot of credit, and they were the better team, there's no dispute or no arguments about that, I don't think we've seen the best of what these group of lads can produce, and we did see it in a lot of glimpses up towards. But the big one for me, and we'll get into the more finer details of it as we do the analysis, but we even seen glimpses of Uma out when he did go out to the left-hand side, and maybe the starting position of him from kick-off up front with Noonan, it just didn't work, and they didn't play as a pair, it looked a bit disjointed, and as soon as he went out to the left, but unfortunately when Colin O'Brien made the decision to put him out on the left and change the formation that we spoke about at half-time, they were 2-0 behind. Too late. That needed to happen when it was 1-0, and we saw 3-4 signs of him getting in down the left-hand side, the threat that he possesses out on the left-hand side. So they are, look, in every match, Joanne, you'll always have regrets in terms of what we could have done, and Colin will reflect on that. And again, for him, it's a learning thing, but certainly
when you get into the kind of and boil it down to the nitty-gritty in terms of what was the difference in them, we seen their key man, Kiloto, the influence he had in the second half. He was causing chaos, he was, for our back four. And even though he mightn't have got on the score sheet, he was the one that was linking everything together, causing problems for our centre-halves. And we just didn't see our star man doing that from kick-off.